This is Luang Poh Sudhiro. He was previously in the Thai military, and he turned down a promotion to captain and became a monk at the age of 22. Prior to that, he was a Muay Thai Southeast Asia champion for Army, Navy, and Air Force. And then when he was a monk, he spent 8 years living in a cave, encountering animals like snakes, and he only ate twice a week. Now he has his own monastery in rural Thailand, and I decided to visit him. In this video, I'm just going to share how I got here, like the story as to how this happened, a day in the life of living in his monastery, and also some recommendations to some of you who want to have a similar experience. Now, firstly, how did I get here? So early this year, I went on a 8-day retreat at the local monastery in Wellington, New Zealand. At that retreat, I met someone who described Luang Poh Sudhiro, and I was obviously very intrigued. And when I asked my parents about this particular monk, my parents said we actually met when I was a little kid. So then I was even more intrigued. I got Luang Poh Sudhiro's contact details, and I messaged him and got a few replies. After a few back and forths, he told me to book a flight to Khon Kaen. I booked a flight. And then when I arrived at Khon Kaen airport, it kind of felt like a scene from one of the Bruce Lee movies, The Way of the Dragon, where Bruce Lee went to a completely foreign place, didn't know anyone, didn't speak the language, was looking around to see who was picking him up. Kind of felt like that. After 15 minutes, 3 master's students picked me up. I stayed a night at the local Khon Kaen monastery, and then afterwards I went on a 1.5 hour car ride to Luang Poh Sudhiro's monastery, which was even more rural. And the name of his monastery that I stayed at was Wat Makut Vimuttigiri. Now moving on to a day in the life of living at Luang Poh Sudhiro's monastery. Now, from my experience living at a monastery in New Zealand, and from what I've heard other people talk about in regards to living at other monasteries, this monastery, Luang Poh Sudhiro's monastery, has a lot more freedom than other monasteries. So generally we'd meet at around 6 a.m. and then we'd do Pindapat, where monks walk around the local village. So we'd drive to the local village, not very far, and the monks would go on alms round. So they have their bowls, and the villagers would offer food to the monks, because monks generally don't cook and they can't store food, so they're reliant on the generosity of the lay people to donate food. So the villagers in the mornings, they'd put food into the monk's bowl, and my job during this entire process is I'd carry a big bowl at the back of the line, so that when the monk's bowl is filled to the top, they just empty whatever they have into my big basket, and then I empty my big basket to the ute, the truck. Yeah, every morning at 6 a.m. that's what we do. And then after that's done, we head back to the monastery, and the villagers help sort out the food. And at 7:30, then we do some chanting, and then we have the meal. And monasteries, from my experience, are often quite hierarchical. So the senior monks go first, then the junior monks, then people living at the monastery, and then the lay people or the villagers. So this was the same at this monastery. You know, the abbot Luang Poh Sudhiro went first, then all the monks, and then I and another foreigner went next, because we were keeping the 8 precepts and living at the monastery. So only 1 meal a day. So we went next, and then some of the local villagers joined in for the meal as well. And then after the meal, you pretty much have the whole day free. I asked Luang Poh Sudhiro if there was anything I could do to help out, because usually that's an expectation if you live at a monastery, to just help out with the chores. But he said there's nothing to do, and it was very, very hot when I was there. I checked Google, and it was like in the 30s, but it said it feels like 47 or something like that. And so it was ridiculously hot, and Luang Poh said, yeah, it's a bit hard to do work in this weather. So I didn't really get to do work, but I was only there for a few nights anyways, so I don't think it'd be worth it for them to explain how to do certain chores. So in my spare time, I just tried to practice on my own. So I tried to spend some time meditating, reading some books about Buddhism, watching some videos about Buddhism. But to be honest, it was very, very hot. And with no aircon, I found it very difficult to focus at times. So I spent a bit of time, booking air tickets, accommodation, resting, calling my parents, things like that. Yeah, it was a very hot time of the year. Now, lastly, if you want some advice for living at a monastery in rural Thailand or somewhere foreign, I'm just going to share with you the things I wish I knew. And Luang Poh likes to call it living in the dhamma, living in the teachings of the Buddha. You actually live it as opposed to just, study it. All right. So the first thing I wish I knew was the seasons and how much of a difference that makes, because there wasn't any AC in this monastery, and most monasteries don't really have AC. So I went in April. That was really, really hot. The best time to go apparently is from November to Feb, because that's cool season and it's not so hot. I also would recommend knowing which monasteries are foreigner friendly. I'm grateful that I previously experienced living at a monastery in New Zealand under the Thai forest tradition, because then the jump to this monastery wasn't that significant. And I've been used to 2 meals a day previously, so 1 meal a day wasn't too significant a jump. But yeah, if you're solo traveling and you don't know the language and you're in rural Thailand, it's a bit more difficult than if you're just living at the local monastery in your home country. Though saying that, everyone was super welcoming and it was a very good experience. And there was a layperson who could speak both Thai and English and a monk who could speak both Thai and English, and they both really helped out throughout the entire process. Now, if you want to visit this particular monastery in rural Thailand, Luang Poh Sudhiro is more than happy to have visitors to live in the Dhamma, as he likes to say. So if you would like to contact him, I'll link his contact details down below. And I'll leave you with a message from Luang Poh Sudhiro.
Greeting everyone. Just would like to invite any of you to come and live in the Dhamma, which means try yourself to live mindfully, carefully, peacefully, happily, wisely, and then you'll be freely at the end. So welcome to Wat Makut Vimuttigiri or Wat Khon Kaen here in Luang Poh in Khon Kaen province, Thailand. Thank you.